Good morning, Veterinary Rambles.
Good morning, Julian. You seem very happy today.
I'm very, very happy.
That introduction, Julian. Good morning, Veterinary Rambles.
Yeah. Did you get the little jibe there? Because it sounded a bit like Robin Williams in Good Morning Vietnam, didn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's go straight over to Vietnam, meet up with Will and Tara, who are Western vets working in Vietnam as we speak. Hi, I'm Mike Brampton.
And my name is Julian Ho.
Welcome to Veterinary Ramblings. Will, Tara, meet my co-host here, Julian.
Hi, Julian.
Hello. Hi, Tara. Hi, Will. And hello, your little friend in the background. Gosh, she's a bit of a stunner, isn't she?
Absolutely.
It's a nod to Asia, I think.
Well, how would you describe exactly what you've set up, Will?
No, that's the question. So basically, we have 3 veterinary hospitals,
right,
over here, which we do, UK quality veterinary medicine, or as close to the same standards as you could expect in the UK or the US or the EU. But yeah, over here in Vietnam and Laos, we have a mixture of local vets and international vets. So our vets come from all over the world. We have Tara's from Ireland, I'm from the UK. We have other British vets, Australian vet, European, Spanish. Yeah, and so we're a companion animal practice, and that's what we've been doing for the last 5.5 years.
What made you set up a companion animal practice in the first place in an area that is not actually your hometown?
Because someone told me I couldn't do it.
Good enough reason.
No, so I came to Southeast Asia in 2005 before I went to vet school, so in my gap year, and I ended up being given a monkey on the street by a random person, and that kind of started this journey, this process of trying to take this monkey somewhere where it could be looked after, and there was nowhere. Trying to get this monkey a rabies vaccine, and there was nowhere. That kind of really, started my interest in, animal welfare, and animals over here really don't have any recourse to any kind of veterinary care. And that kind of percolated in my mind while I was at university. I came back a few times. Then I graduated, worked as an equine vet in the UK for just a few months. And then I moved back to Laos to work with an elephant non-profit.
Right.
Did that for a year and really got to know kind of the country and the limitations on access to care. And that was really kind of the real starting point, the seed of someone should do something about this part of the world, and someone should try and bring real quality medicine and veterinary medicine to these markets.
All right. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's a direct correlation there between your equine work, large animal work, and elephants.
Yeah, so basically I just wanted to come back to Asia, and then I came over here just because there were no jobs for vets in Southeast Asia. The only thing that I could find was a elephant veterinary non-profit role in Laos.
Right.
And I did that for a year. We started up a small elephant hospital. I got firsthand all the limitations of having no medicine, having no equipment, having no funding. And so it just expanded from there, really. And no one knows about elephants over in Laos, so I just kind of got on with it and gave it a go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Julian, didn't you spend some time in Thailand working with elephants?
Well, not working with them. No, I spent a lovely family holiday a couple of years ago, and we were lucky enough to stay in an elephant sanctuary. We researched before we went because there are lots of places advertising themselves as elephant sanctuaries, and it turns out that a lot of them aren't really. They're using elephants to perform or to give rides to and things like that, and generally mistreating them. But the one we went to was widely reputed to be an excellent sanctuary, Elephant Hills, actually, in Thailand. And we had a fantastic 2 weeks there. It was amazing. Sadly, only 2 weeks. I could have stayed out there as well for life. In fact, with the pandemic going on, I wish I had.
not a bad place to be
Great
right now.
place, yeah.
No, no. So
Yeah.
is it affecting your lives much at all, or not, the pandemic?
No, I mean day to day, no, it's the same here. Just obviously no international travel. Like no one's been home or anything. But our day to day life never really changed, right? Like, we had 3 weeks in April, I think, and that was it.
Wow.
Right. Gosh. I think we had 3 weeks of normality in June,
Yeah.
and that was it.
Which was July, I can't remember.
No one knew much about elephants, you were saying, before you went out. Presumably, I'm on the BSAVA Publications Committee, and we haven't yet produced the BSAVA Manual of Elephant Medicine and Surgery. Well, you see, it's not a small animal veterinary problem usually, but how do you find out your information? There are resources that you have out there, literature-wise.
There are a couple of resources, a couple of books, and there's some publications on things. But honestly, a lot of it is anecdotal, and a lot of it is just extrapolating from other veterinary medicine. So you really kind of go back to basics and start with problem solving and basic application of clinical medicine. There's also like a very large body of, I would say, Asian medicine, so traditional medicine and herbal medicine and theories that really is what dominates the whole Thai and Lao Asian elephant medicine.
Yeah.
So that was quite interesting, but also challenging, right? I remember thinking on day one, hey, why is everyone injecting their elephants?
Yes, and presumably not enough. You have to inject them with a fair few oranges, wouldn't you, to make a difference if they were actually ascorbic acid deficient. But interesting. Presumably, you've got to do lots of multiplications of the doses to try and get something about right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
About 72 tablets of ibuprofen for a sore foot.
It all sounds very, very complex to me. So is this why you set up a small animal clinic?
So basically by being there and being in Asia, people would contact me and say, hey, well, my dog is sick, my cat's sick. And it really brought it home about actually how limited we are and what we can do when we have no equipment, no diagnostics, no medication. And I felt very helpless and unable to really provide any help, even if I took that pet and went to a local clinic.
Mm-hmm.
The facilities, the equipment, and everything was so lacking that you couldn't do anything. Still today, people assume that surgery equals death.
Is that right?
Because that's their experience
Mm-hmm.
in most clinics. And still today, basically any other vet clinic in Laos or Vietnam, they don't have oxygen, they don't have ISO, they don't have pain relief. That's the kind of level, the general level of veterinary medicine out
So
So there's two questions that come immediately from that. One is it easy to source material, equipment?
No,
So incredibly difficult. How do you get hold of it?
can't tell you.
Is it Amazon?
there. Exactly.
Thames Medical do deliver, I believe, don't they, Mike, to Vietnam?
Okay.
Personally, Mike will go out there with a suitcase, set it up for you, and I can come along as well, actually, and help.
Yeah.
I can't do anything, but I'll come along and help.
I'm sure along those lines. So go on. In answer to your question, so it comes in via Amazon, does it?
Yeah, it's very difficult for us to source. We source from UK, from Hong Kong, Singapore, Australia, Thailand. The amount of medicines that are licensed for companion animal is, I can count on one hand.
Right.
So in that sense, it's a freedom and it's a curse, right? So we don't have any cascade. We don't we use any medications, but equally, we shouldn't really be using any
I mean,
medications.
even basic. There's no cat vaccine. Like,
No cat vaccines. Gosh.
Right.
But the other question that I was going to ask was, what is the level of care over their pets and concern for the health of their pets? Because my experience in Thailand and Malaysia is that there isn't a huge amount of care or concern for pets out there. And so I think you've probably got an uphill struggle from that respect, haven't you?
So yes,
Yeah.
you're right. In broad strokes, there's still the vast majority of people see animals as utilitarian rather than as companions. But I would say that over the last 5 years since we started, we've seen an absolutely massive increase
Yeah.
in the uptake of clinical services, veterinary services at our clinics for locals, which for me is the most rewarding thing, and that's why we do what we do. But that's definitely, it's nowhere near as widespread as in other more developed countries. But people do choose to look after their pets.
Sure. Gosh, so many questions. How to hone down the next one? My immediate thought was, let me come out and do some soft tissue surgery for you. What do you have in terms of histopathology and basic lab stuff out there?
We have in-house lab. So we have the CT biochem and microscopy,
Snap test.
snap
all that,
test.
yeah.
But there's no histopathology. So everything we export either to the UK or sometimes to Thai labs, depending on the client. So that ironically, it pushes some of the items that we do, the price up so much higher than you would have in the UK.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you do a lot of cytology in a house?
Yeah, a lot. Like a lot of our vets, when they come initially, they're not very comfortable with it, but we're forced to do it because we're constrained by cost. I mean, it's just not feasible. And also time as well.
Yeah, I must admit, I still do most of my cytology in myself. Occasionally, I send it off for immunofluorescence or other tests. But because my background in cell biology and microbiology, I do have an interest in that. But I've got the luxury of then saying, well, actually, I'm not quite sure what it is. I'll just pop it off and get a result back tomorrow. What about things like X-rays? Now, presumably, you're not governed by the Ionizing Radiations Act.
Well, we're governed by the nuclear department of Vietnam. So about every 2 years, Tara or I have to go on a 3-day training course, all in Vietnamese, in order to get our stamp.
Have you been?
I have the certificate.
And is the Vietnamese coming on well?
Yeah, no.
No?
Fair enough.
And what about getting equipment repaired? I mean, that must even be more difficult.
Yeah.
We're very self-reliant. So I guess like you
we FaceTime with China.
Yeah, we figure it out. Right? We tinker, or we find somebody who fixes something relatively similar and try and get them to fix it.
It doesn't make it worse.
So why now you're in Ho Chi Minh City, which to a lot of people, certainly of our age, we would know as Saigon.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless you've watched Good Morning Vietnam, in which case Robin Williams says, "Follow the Ho Chi Minh Road, follow the Ho Chi Minh Road." But most people, as you say, know it as Miss Saigon.
Well, yeah.
Miss Saigon City.
Miss Saigon City, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The Ho Chi Minh Road, I mean, that took quite a place. But the Ho Chi Minh Trail actually terminated not very far away from Saigon. Have you actually been to the Cu Chi tunnels yet?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's and for those of you who may not be up on your history, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here. This is a tunnel network on the outskirts of what was Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City, that was home to the Viet Cong during the Vietnam War. But the tunnels originated during their battle against the French, when the French were the colonists of the territory. And they go on for miles, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, hundreds of miles, isn't it?
Yeah, because essentially the army lived in these tunnels right under the noses of the American troops during the Vietnam War. So they cooked without smoke. They disguised the smoke from the fires. They had hospitals under there, ammunition dumps. They slept, ate, did everything underground, right under the noses.
Incredible.
Yeah,
it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, they widen them for us.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I hear that there are actually now modified tunnels for the larger Western visitors to enable them to get access into the tunnels.
It's the first thing they tell you when you go into the tunnel. That
Is
actually this is twice the size.
I bet it's still pretty tight, isn't it?
Exactly.
Gosh, yeah.
Wow.
Imagine, and they lived there for years, didn't they?
Yeah.
Some of them, they had families there, and gosh,
Yeah.
incredible, incredible. You don't operate in those. You say they have hospitals there. You haven't got a branch opened up in one of the tunnels.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Have to get a medicine in.
Are you still treating exotics? So moving slightly away from the elephants, snakes, monkeys, things like that still?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So again, because there's no, I guess we are the second opinion referral. We're the end of the line. So we end up with all the bits and pieces that I guess haven't got better by themselves. And that includes like the wildlife and the conservation and the non-profits and the NGOs. And we do a lot of non-profit work on this side of things. So everything from bears, we had a dental on the bear, removing canines. We had someone walk in with a tiger.
Sorry, walk in with a tiger.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Whoa. You had somebody walk in with a tiger.
Yeah, he had diarrhea.
Who? The client?
I would if I was holding a tiger.
It was quite funny actually because it came on a Sunday and I forgot to tell. He stayed overnight, and I forgot to tell the Monday staff that we had a tiger in the clinic. So they came and they opened up the cage door, and the tiger was feeling much better.
Right, and they had diarrhea as well, did they? So you a walking tiger. How big was this tiger?
Well, I remember Tara phoning me and she said, well, it's a tiger, but he said, don't worry about it. It's a cub, but it growls.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was being translated as well through Lao. So it was like, okay, how long has he been sick? Blah, blah, blah. And then, do you have any other tigers? Yes. Are they sick? Yes. How many other tigers do you have? 150.
Okay.
It's the Tiger King of Lao.
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these are like difficult situations, right? I always find ethically because we have to provide care to that animal.
Yeah.
But then obviously we don't know why this guy has a tiger farm. So there's all that.
So you think it could have been for TCM, do you? Traditional Chinese medicine? Or,
Well, there was a guy in the waiting room who had a theory.
And what was his theory, Tara?
He thought he was, some traitor, some FBI wanted something. Yeah.
So how? Okay, I mean, you've raised the question there. How do you cope? Because that must cause you a lot of conflict.
Personally, I don't think that it's our role or within our capacity to police some of these gray areas, especially in countries where their own law enforcement wouldn't back you up or support you.
Yeah, that's the big thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
What can we do? I believe, okay, we don't support or condone, but if you're presented with an animal that is sick and suffering, then we are responsible for alleviating that to the best of our abilities and leaving the legalities or the gray area out of it. I'd rather that they presented an animal for care at the end of the day, than they never sought our care.
Sure.
Well, that would be a pretty quick end to your business, wouldn't it, as well? If you were seen to be dobbing people into the authorities, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of that.
Serious people.
Yeah, but also it always comes down to things like tail docking, ear cropping, declawing cats. That's all common practice in local clinics. So we don't do any of that.
Wow.
We educate owners on why we don't do that, and that's our policy. It's always been our policy, and that's just how it is. Some people listen and are okay, and then some people say no and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think that's an ethical line that we need to draw. But equally, to a large degree, sometimes I think they're going somewhere else to have this done, where there is no pain relief, where there is no
Yeah.
anesthesia, where there is no sterility.
Yeah.
Actually, if you, at the end of the day, what is
Sure.
better?
It's already fine taking the moral high ground, but what happens to the patient sometimes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've seen them after many times come in with all infected, awful. Yeah.
Mm. So Tara, getting back to this tiger, if you excuse the obvious pun, did he get to the bottom of the diarrhea?
No, just managed to pop an IV in and rehydrate him. And then, like I said, on Monday morning, he was ready to go.
Fantastic. And is that the most unusual animal you've had in?
Oh, we had a pangolin for pregnancy ultrasound a few months ago.
For ultrasound?
Yeah.
Now,
The most trafficked animal. So we see a bit of them.
so do you have to remove some of the scales to be able to get the probe in, or just use a very small window probe?
Just unroll them
Yeah.
and then on the tummy.
So it's only fur on the tummy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. My lack of knowledge of pangolins there, do excuse me. I know that they almost certainly didn't cause COVID, but there we go.
There's one more now.
There's one
Good.
more.
One more pangolin. Excellent.
Well,
Yeah.
hopefully much loved and cared for and stands a
Yeah.
chance.
No, that was a good story, that one. Yeah, it came from a conservation place, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
That's incredible.
And before, we'll mention it again later, I'm sure, several times, but you've mentioned on a couple of occasions NGOs and non-profit agencies. Presumably, you're in desperate need of finances, as are anyone who does charity work of any sort. How can people support you?
That's a great question. So internally, we do trap, neuter, release and outreach projects. So mainly focusing on rabies vaccines and education ourselves. So we actually do run like a charity program on a regular basis. We raise some donations. We've got some from the UK before, and they actually go really a long way over here. So we often ask people to support us on those. And then on the other side, we just use our own resources and we support other NGOs. So that's non-financial support. So we provide our vets lectures, time. We recently went and got involved in some more projects here in Vietnam where they don't have the clinical skills or the expertise. So we do a lot of that just off our own volition.
Sort of outreach.
How many vets do you have?
22 in total.
How many?
22.
22, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty sizable.
Yeah, it feels like it sometimes. But the way we operate is that we have the lead vets are all international. And then we have local vets in a support. So we call them junior veterinarians. We train them, we upskill them. They start from a very low base in terms of their skills and knowledge. And then over around, 12 months?
Yeah, it takes at least a year.
We
to
bring
get
them up to like
vet nurse level.
yeah.
Interesting. So where do they graduate from?
The local universities, there's a university in Vientiane and Laos, there's a university in Ho Chi Minh.
Right.
But the problem they have is it's actually this is a real frustration and a real like passion of both Tara and mine is in educating the local vets, because they really want to do the right thing. They really want to be a vet. They really care about what they're doing. Even 10 years ago, it was to be a vet here is seen as a pretty lowly job. If you can't be a doctor and you can't be an accountant and you can't be in agriculture, then you'll end up being a vet.
Oh, right.
And that's changing. So now people are choosing to be a vet and choosing companion animal care, which is great. But they don't have lecturers. They don't have textbooks in their own language a lot of the time. They don't have the facilities. So there are some projects like Massey University is doing a project here with Ho Chi Minh University, which is great. And we basically employ every single graduate from that program. But yeah, they're in desperate need of upskilling and education and access to resources.
So how long is the course? Their course at university?
Yeah, it's almost 6 years.
And what's lacking then, making them so poorly skilled? Is it the resources they're taught with?
Yeah, they don't have like the foundation. They don't start with like physiology, biochemistry, and work up anatomy even. Like they have no idea. If you ask them, we have like a I don't know, heart failure case or something, they can't draw you the heart or explain what is entering and exiting and which one, they don't comprehend it at all on a basic level. They just know that a coughing dog might have a heart problem and you give these meds and it stops, or it might not.
So they're taught almost didactically to recognize symptoms and treat.
It's like recipe teaching. Like, if it comes in looking like this, you give this and hopefully it gets better.
So that's, again, that's very similar to, I believe, traditional medicine training, in which you're given lists of signs and symptoms and then lists that match those up in terms of treatment. Of course, with traditional medicine, there is no physiology. There's chi and movement of energy and posture, and those things are important, but there's no underlying biochemistry or biomechanics to describe what's going on. So I imagine they've just applied that then to the course, haven't they?
Yeah, sometimes they have some very random, in-depth, like theoretical knowledge. For example, they might be able to talk to you in very detail about antimicrobial resistance.
Yeah, it's often to do with pathology.
Yeah, but without any frame of reference for how does that translate into practice, or why does that matter or not.
Gosh, that's trying to get my mind around how that would work. And it's so alien, isn't it, from our training, our years of study, which seemed at the time to be semi-logical, if a little bit too heavy on Krebs cycles sometimes.
What's on the Krebs cycle? Tara, I want to hear a little bit more about your story, Tara, if I may, because you graduated from UCD in Ireland.
As you know.
Wonderful, wonderful college. But you then decided that was it, and you skedaddled.
Yeah, I did 5 years in mixed practice back home.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't particularly enjoy it. So.
Right.
What did you not enjoy about it?
The hours. It was mixed practice, like living in the middle of nowhere. The hours and no input into anything. It was just boring. Hated it, basically. Yeah, and then took a year out, and then I actually thought that that was it, gonna come back and do something else, and then I gave it a final shot with this job in Laos.
Yeah, but tell me a little bit more about this story, because you weren't just sitting there in a coffee bar in Dublin working out what you were going to do next, and whether you were going to go back to the college and do anaesthesia with Lynn, or whether you were going to go back into small animal practice, or move over to the UK or whatever. You were off on your travels, weren't you? Where were you?
South America.
Right, whereabouts?
Yeah, all over, like Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Colombia.
So you'd got your backpack with your shamrock on the back.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
On your own?
No, I went with a friend from home.
Right.
The two of us headed off, and
that's amazing.
Great crack, yeah. Then ran out of money though. That was the problem.
Ah, so you went from South America to Australia.
Yeah.
Right.
And then basically bummed around with some friends out there and ran out of money, so had to get a job. I tried every other job except veterinary for a while, and then started applying.
Right. So where were you applying?
In Australia, and then I applied for this job as well.
Okay. Do you not have to recertify for Australia?
I did, yeah. Recertified in Australia, and then but the plan was to locum there. Mm-hmm. But then I also, as I was applying for all those jobs, I applied for this job.
So Will, you advertise for vets, Australian Vet Times, do you?
Actually, we advertise. We're always recruiting. We're always hiring, especially because we've been growing so much. We advertise on Kookaburra, the website.
Okay.
Has like a lot of vet jobs from different countries, Australia and all of Asia and South America and Europe, and actually on Facebook, a lot of Facebook. Yeah.
Okay.
It's great.
So you're on Facebook every minute of every free time you have?
Well, I'm not on
Well,
Facebook.
unfortunately, it's huge over here. So yeah, like a lot of our clients that's how they communicate with us and everything.
Is it? They give you updates of their pets on Facebook and things?
Like part of our client communication will be through people sending us Facebook messages or videos or photos, refusing to phone us, only communicating through Facebook. So
Gosh. Yeah, that's awful, isn't it? Well, it may be good. I just think of it as being awful.
Yeah. I mean, we don't speak on there. We have our customer service to talk to them because it's time sync.
Yeah, they start sending photos of things and asking opinions. Oh.
Right. So how much is a Facebook consultation then?
We don't do Facebook consultations as much as people think we should.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I look at some of the vet pages on Facebook, and of course, it's full of clients going, "My dog has," and they expect you to go and give them prescription, and everything will be fine. And of course, very often the requirement is, for God's sake, get to the vet now.
Well, we get the next level up. I think we get people messaging us. Here are my X-rays taken at my local vet, and the blood tests from this other vet, and a photo of the receipt of some injections I got at my third vet, and nothing's working. Can you tell me what's wrong and where can I buy the medicine?
Yeah.
Wow. So how do you respond to that?
Our vet said it has inflammation of the kidney. Please help.
Yeah. I mean,
Inflammation.
Everything has kidney stones. I've never seen a genuine kidney stone, I don't think.
Really?
But everything here has kidney stones.
Can you not get to the source, find out the person that sowed the seed that everything has got kidney stones and sort of modify it?
well, I mean, I'll give you a good example. This is a real bugbear of ours. So there's no real vet board here. A few years ago, literally a few years ago, vets had to register on a rolling basis. You register every 5 years. But before then, it was a bit of a gray area. There were people who actually weren't vets saying they were vets, and it was all a bit of a mess. It's still a mess. But there's, for example, one clinic around the corner, and the vet who runs this clinic, he says that he graduated from the University of Bristol, where I graduated. He didn't. He says that he does laparoscopic space. Endoscopic, sorry.
Endoscopic. That's even trickier because you have to go through the gut to find the rest of the cilium and then get the ovaries, put it back through the hole you've made in the gut.
Yeah.
Even then immediately seal that up. I don't see how that could be done, to be honest.
And he does endoscopic cat castrates.
Wow.
Beautiful incisions.
Listen, I think, I'm sorry, Will, Tara, you've got the wrong. This guy is obviously
It's incredible. We need to speak.
Learning. You should be going and learning some of these techniques, because I tell you, I don't think they're working anywhere else in the world, or anybody else would even attempt them. This guy's obviously a world leader.
It's magic.
So this is your local competition, isn't it? Who presumably is a lecturer from Bristol. We don't know who he is, but he's set himself up as a specialist, a diplomate of internal medicine and surgery. Is that right?
Yes, and I had a funny conversation with a client of ours. And she said to me, we often get asked, do you do endoscopic X, Y, and Z? To which we reply, no, but nobody does.
We also ask them, like, we give them questions to ask him, but I'm not sure that.
So I said to this one lady, so can you do an endoscopic cat castrate? And I said, well, No, that's not a thing. Google it.
No,
You-
because testicles aren't in the intestines, are they? Unless they've been eaten by a Frenchman for lunch.
So off she went with a list of questions for me to this guy to ask him, you know, to check that he is doing an endoscopic cat castrate. And then she sent this email, rather stroppy email back to me a few weeks later, saying, I went there. Actually, she was wrong. What he does is a semi-endoscopic technique for a cat castrate. And I should educate myself.
All right, okay.
Fantastic. Just in case viewers are getting a bit confused by this, we're being not very pedantic, because as vets and anesthesiologists, we could be a lot more pedantic. But there's a huge difference between the terms endoscopic, which means to look inside the intestines, usually using a telescope called an endoscope, and the surgical procedures that we use to do ovariectomies and ovarian hysterectomies, in other words, spays on bitches, by making a little incision into the abdomen and looking into the cavity of the abdomen. That's called a laparoscopy, when we use a laparoscope. And so you'd only use an endoscope to remove an ovary if an ovary was causing an obstruction, having been eaten whole by an animal, and for some reason had evaded digestion thus far.
Yes, we should send this to clients.
Please send it away. I hate charlatans of any sort. I had one a few years back. One of my clients brought in a dog that she brought over from Turkey with her, and it was a bitch, and she'd been spayed, and she said, I'm a bit worried because she's bleeding. So I had a look, and her vulva was swollen. I said, well, I think she's probably come into season. No, she's been spayed. So I did a progesterone assay, and it showed that there was likely ovarian remnants left. So I went in, and there was a whole ovary that had been left in. No uterus that had been taken out, and one of the ovaries had been taken out, but there was a whole ovary left in. So I said to her, you know, I've removed it for you, but whoever did this operation, I'm afraid, failed to take the other ovary out. She said, oh, that was my brother. He's a vet in Turkey. I thought, oh, gosh, it's embarrassing. Sorry, you know. I'd have a chat to him. Maybe he owes you some money. And she came in a week later for a post-op check, and she said, I had a chat to my brother, and apparently they can regrow. So I thought about it for a while. I thought, do I let this rest? It's going to make Christmases very awkward from now on. But I said, look, I'm sorry. I don't know how close you are to your brother, but no, they really, really never do. Go back and slap him or something.
Maybe he can Bristol.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, probably. Well, that'd be a semi-ovariectomy, wouldn't it?
It is a real bugbear of mine. Like, even you can look him up. Even on his website, he has the University of Bristol logo.
Will, get over yourself. You've only studied for 5-6 years, gone through numerous graduate exams and studied hard and traveled halfway around the world and set up your own. Get over yourself.
Yeah.
I know.
It's the harm he's doing to other animals, isn't it? And the heartbreak he's causing to the owners as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, we've had awful scenes.
Yeah, we've had awful stories. But for me,
Really?
what really gets me, honestly, he has two prices, right? A two-tiered price structure for laparoscopic or endoscopic, whatever he calls it that day, which is neither, right? But he has a more expensive price for the laparoscopic or endoscopic technique and a cheaper price for the non-laparoscopic or endoscopic technique. So to me, my question is, does that mean that he does a bad job if you don't pay more?
Almost certainly. You know, uses the blunter of his two knives.
Yeah, I don't understand. Some things I will never understand over here.
Yeah, I won't ask you his name over the airways, because I'm always aware of the libel laws. But you know who you are if you're watching this. Present yourself to someone in authority for a damn good whipping, and then go and jump off a big rock or something.
We know some regulators, don't we, Julian?
Oh, we do, absolutely. And presumably, And those regulators don't come round to Laos or
No.
Vietnam often.
Definitely
But
not.
there's no, you have to register every 5 years, you say, but who actually polices it? Is there a Vietnamese equivalent of the RCVS?
Well, the vet department.
There's the government vet department. They come and inspect us as a clinic. It's always a very surreal situation because nothing is licensed, right? So every single time, every year they come and say, "Oh, how do you run a hospital with no medicine?" So that's a good question.
Like one box of Frontline on a shelf.
Yeah.
Like,
We find our
Fantastic.
ways. We have our
Yeah.
ways.
We explain to vets when they apply for jobs, say, look, you don't have to worry about being struck off. You don't have to be worried about being sued.
yeah.
You don't have to worry about the cascade. You can just be a vet and do good.
Mhm.
But on the other hand,
Yeah.
for us, there's no, when someone
Recourse.
says like, you killed my dog, there's no independent third body. You can say, well, no, we didn't.
Yeah.
So, but getting back to what clients will do.
We're always pushing what people want and also what we can do, right? So we can do CT, MRI. We send off the images for specialists to review. But in the last 5 years, it really has increased. It really used to be, oh, I just want an injection and that's it, because, surgery equals death. And that progressed. So then people started taking us up on space and castrates. Then now we would do, mammary strips, dentals, which were never a thing before. People will do amputation, foreign bodies.
Yeah, we're lucky now, but in the beginning it was really, really tough to get anyone to commit to anything. Yeah.
People probably start to say no. I mean, we've done a few like myelograms. We were barium studies regularly now. We just have a new surgeon joining us, who's a French surgeon, so we can offer TPLOs and more advanced orthopedic surgeries, which we don't have the facilities for. So we're adding that. We're adding rehab and laser in the next few months. So what people are willing to do really it is growing, which is great.
Yeah.
Great for us.
And you have ultrasound there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have ultrasound, digital X-ray, in-house lab, basically everything. I think what we don't have is a toner pen.
You
don't?
have a toner pen.
So you use these shots tonometry?
Yeah, we
got
that's the thing that looks like it's out of the dark
The
ages,
Soviet
right?
Union looking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very accurate if you calibrate them and you know how to use them. So you're putting them exactly vertically and using the correct weight on them. The shots tonometer can be very accurate, but they are just a little bit cumbersome, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think it's
Not user friendly.
I think we got it out once. Tara and I looked at it and we said we don't know where to start with this and put it back on the shelf.
Yeah.
So you're obviously based in Ho Chi Minh City, so that's your main area. But you've got 22 vets, not all working out of the same facility, have you?
No,
So
we have
you've got a clinic in Laos and you've got a clinic in Thailand.
no. So we have 2 clinics in Ho Chi Minh and 1 now, and we are opening a 3rd one, but this in Hanoi.
Right.
In a couple of months. We just started building.
So do you personally travel around between them, or have you got right-hand men, ladies, lieutenants that look after those particular places?
That's Tara's job.
Used to, yeah, but now with COVID.
We're stuck.
Right.
Yeah.
So just to give listeners who perhaps don't have the faintest clue where even Laos is, how far away are all of these from each other?
Laos and Vietnam are neighbors.
Yeah. It's a 4-hour flight.
There's no direct flight.
No.
So we have to go from Ho Chi Minh to Cambodia, to Phnom Penh, and then to Vientiane in Laos.
Yeah. So you're not really doing a morning surgery at 1 and then popping off to do evening cover and in the other surgery.
Not quite, but we do plan to fly our surgeon around a little bit,
Yeah.
so that he can cover all the bases. And we have an amazing vet, Eloise, in Laos, who has been manning the fort in COVID. So she's done an amazing job there.
Gosh.
What made you set up in Laos as well then? It seems like a logistical nightmare, and then
Yeah.
Hanoi as well. You know, that would be like us setting up an office in Berlin, and why don't we have one in Portugal as well?
Yes, you are right. And in hindsight, it's not the easiest thing to do.
So why?
So I started in Laos because I knew Laos because I'd been there because there was a desperate need for vets, really desperate. And I believe that if a companion animal clinic can work in Laos, where there really is nothing, economically, it's one of the least developed countries, then
But it's the best country.
Yeah, I love the country. I love the country.
Yeah.
Then there's hope for the concept of animal doctors in a broader field, basically. And that one really took off and went flying after about 6 months. And so, but that was very small.
Will does speak Lao fluently.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Not very useful language, I have to admit. But
Well, it's like a secret language, though.
it is like a secret language.
Because it's not spoken outside of Lao at all, really, is it?
No.
Barely spoken in Lao, to be honest.
Is it? I'm going to get my facts wrong here, I'm sure, because I often do. But the written language is based on another Asian language, isn't it?
Yes. So both written and spoken Lao is very, very close to Thai.
Right, but not close enough to understand.
All Lao people will speak and understand Thai. I would understand 50% of Thai. So for me, it's not that close, but it's close enough.
Right. Okay.
They had no written language of their own, right? Until
No, Lao did.
oh, they
Is the Hmong had no written language of their own. And if you ever want to see something which blows your mind, Hmong writing is incredible. So the Hmong were they're like a tribe, an ethnic minority, who helped the CIA and America in the Vietnamese War against the and Lao as well. And so they had no written language. When they moved to the US after the war, they created a written language. And the way it is amazing. I don't know how you would even start to pronounce that.
Gosh, that's great. But it almost looks like some cleverly contrived code, which I guess it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've actually used a lot of the Latin alphabet and just turned the letters upside down and put little twirls on them.
Yeah, and like they have H, Z, F, Y. I mean, like how do you say?
So this is interesting. I've just noticed that they talk about the Hmong language originating in the city of or the dialect of palaver, and that's where we get our word palaver complex from, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's overly complex. What a palaver! Very clever stuff. Very clever. You were saying earlier that a lot of the time you spend teaching up your assistants and teaching and lecturing elsewhere. Are you geared up to do a little bit of teaching for us today? You'll have heard of this thing that we do about now on the show called the 60-second CPD challenge. Would you be up to do one of those?
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Okay, so what's your chosen subject for today then?
Stop that elephant.
All right, so Dr. Will Thomas, 60-second CPD on Stop That Elephant, starting now.
So I thought I'd give us some tips on the chemical restraint of Asian bull elephants in musth when we need to stop them rampaging. And I learned this firsthand. So Asian elephants are actually very sensitive to alpha-2 agonists when you compare them to African elephants. The most commonly used sedative we use in Asia is either xylazine or medetomidine. And we give it IM in the shoulder, either by hand with an injection or by dart, bit depending on the situation. You need to make sure that you'll be using a needle that is at least 2 inches long, because their skin can be up to 3 inches thick. We also don't have the luxury of scales, so we have to guesstimate the weight. Most Asian bulls are 3,000 kilos, and I have really good outcomes using straight xylazine. For a bull in must, I'd start with around 500 milligrams in the first dose, and then I'd give another 200 milligrams after 12 minutes if it's not sedated. The duration of effect is longer than in a horse, and usually they stay sedated for around 1 hour. There you go.
Perfect.
I had a punchline, but I didn't get there.
Oh,
You go
no.
on. Say the punchline. What's the punchline?
What's your punchline, Will?
Oh, it's just to make sure that you're not wearing flip-flops, because they can stand on your feet.
A lot of photos of us in flip-flops.
A lot of experience with that.
Worth adding that. It's brilliant.
Yeah, we could add that. That was very good. That was super.
Excellent. That was an amazing bit of CPD.
Thank you very
Done.
much. Will.
And I think it's worthy of a certificate, isn't it?
Well, I think so. I mean, even though these guys aren't governed by the RCVS, a lot of our listeners are.
Yeah.
And so having received some superb CPD there, we really ought to have a certificate to.
We ought to.
we've given
We can't do it just yet, though, can we?
Why's that?
We can't. You can't just have CPD. It's not a little passive thing, is it? It's active. So we need to do other things other than just listen to a lecture.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
But
we've got to do what the RCVS want us to do. We've got to reflect. Yeah.
okay, if I can invite Tara and Will to join us in a moment's reflection on the CPD that we've received today. And well, we wanted to qualify for race points and CVS CPD. So kindly join us in a moment's reflection on the CPD from today.
Okay. That pea break.
I'm reflected. I'm done.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That
Feel much
was a
better
big
now.
piece of reflection because elephants are big.
They are.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, so it's important. It's important that we did big reflection.
Mm.
Come on, I want the certificate.
What's the certificate?
Yeah.
Here we go. There we go.
Wow.
There's an elephant. So let's talk you through this. It says, "Good morning, veterinary ramblings," and then it says, "This certifies that you cool dudes are now even slightly cooler despite the heat, and know lots about elephants." That's veterinary ramblings there. It's signed Ho Chi Me and Ho Chi Him, Mike and Julian. Hang on. And we got some orchids there, native to Vietnam.
A lotus?
No, orchids.
All right.
Orchids. These are the little elephants I met in Thailand. And this is a giant clam that I also met in Thailand. That's pretty nice. It's one of the most beautiful pictures I've got. And they were some bugs that I ate in Thailand. There were some grasshoppers and could have been maggot eggs or something. Or maggot.
Were they
Pupae.
chili? Were they
Yeah.
in chili? Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
they were really nice actually.
I think they're really crunch. I like the crunch you get.
I'm allergic to those maggots.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh really?
Never mind.
Or what they put on it?
No, the head of the maggot
Specifically.
specifically.
Is that-
I
and
found it.
Well,
Boiling.
you've whittled it down to just the head of the maggot,
Yes.
and you've done this like what, gently nibbling down the length. And you've got to the head, and oh, I'm allergic to that.
Yeah, well, sometimes they make them without the head, and sometimes they make them with the head. And when
Right.
they don't have the head, I was fine. And when they do have the head, I want to rip my skin off.
Is that not like going? Is that not like going to a McDonald's and saying no tomato ketchup, please?
Yeah. I just don't go near maggots anymore.
There are other pupated insects available, aren't there? So
Carry on.
we also got now there. This is what we saw on sale in Thailand. This is birds' nests.
Yeah.
Traditional medicine. I believe it's a type of starling, isn't it? That they collect the nests of, and as a result of which a lot of these starlings are becoming extinct. So people, if you want to have some traditional medicine in the form of endangered animals, then please join Will and Tara's friend down the road for a good old whipping, because they don't work and you're just ruining the world. So thank you. And this is one part of the beautiful world that you're ruining. And these are, well, you know what these are? These are
Hello.
corals.
Corals.
Oh.
Yeah. So these are the little animals that form corals.
Oh.
And
Do that.
we were lucky enough in Thailand to be near a coral reef and looked at these wonderful, beautiful living corals. A few days later, we went to another beach, which was rather more polluted, and saw the bleached, dead corals there. Really awful sight. So all that is leading up to me saying a huge, absolutely huge thank you to you and to you, Tara. Not just for coming on Veterinary Ramblings, so we'll thank you formally for that in a minute, but thank you for your contribution to helping the world in which you live. We really, I think both Mike and myself, can't tell you enough how much we would support the work you're doing there, especially the re-education in that area, because I think it's long overdue.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
thank you for
Yeah.
that.
We forgot to do a joke.
Oh, and I've got a good one too.
Okay.
I'm laughing not because of the joke, but because I said I've got a good one. Now Mike knows that's never true. My jokes are utter crap, but I do enjoy telling them. And I'd started off by thinking of a joke that I now won't tell, because you're telling me about people who want diagnoses over Facebook, or saying my friend's dog was diagnosed with this. Reminding me of a joke that Woody Allen used to tell. Presumably he still does, as far as I know he's still alive. But he told, he does these sort of stand-up comedy acts, telling anecdotes and things. And he said he's got a friend, and Eggs Benedict is the name he normally comes up with. My friend Eggs Benedict. He said, I had this pain in my chest. It was keeping me up at night. And I thought, well, should I go to the doctor? And I thought, well, the doctor's going to charge me $50 just to look at me and tell me it's indigestion or something. So I shouldn't go, but maybe it's something serious. And then he found out that his friend Eggs Benedict had the same thing. It was keeping him awake at night, it's pain in the chest. So he said to Eggs, you should go and see the doctor. And Eggs Benedict went to see the doctor. And then Woody Allen said to him, what was it? So he charged me $250. He's done loads of tests, things and x-rays, and it's bloody indigestion. Oh, well, thank goodness it's nothing serious, said Woody Allen. And he goes out and buys himself a packet of Rennies and thinks, hey, I've saved 350 quid or $350. And a few days later, he phones Eggs Benedict and says, do you fancy coming out for a drink? And his wife answers and he says, is Eggs around? And she said, no, he died yesterday. Quick as a flash, Woody hangs up the phone, rushes out to the doctors, pays $1,000 on getting a CT scan, full bloods, intel, everything he can. And the doctor says, it's nothing, it's fine, you've just got indigestion. So furious, he goes home, phones Eggs Benedict's widow and says, what did he die of? Was it slow and painful? She said, no, he was hit by a bus, he was killed instantly.
Very good. Very good. It saves me the elephant joke then, doesn't it?
Yeah. Which one's that?
Expected.
What the joke? Why do elephants paint their toenails? So they can hide in cherry trees. Have you ever seen an elephant in a cherry tree?
No.
It works, doesn't it? Yeah.
Now, male elephants, of course, paint their testicles pink and hide in cherry trees.
Do they?
Do you know what the most loudest noise in the jungle is? It's cherry picking. I shall raise an empty glass, but it will have whiskey in it later.
I've got a wine there.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've
so you got.
Oh,
whiskey,
look
right?
at that! Look at that! Oh, okay. Well, in that case, then you could say a big thank you from Veterinary Ramblings to Tara and Will. Thank you so much indeed for joining us and filling us in on all the information that you have done. It's been an absolutely fascinating chat with you, and I'd like to catch up with you and follow your exploits as you move forwards. And just remember, listeners, viewers, if you like what you've seen, click like, share, follow, tell your friends about us. We're on Spotify, iTunes, podcasts, Facebook, YouTube, the whole works. So click like, follow, share, subscribe, and stay in touch with us and people like Will and Tara on their journeys. So, with no further ado, from Veterinary Ramblings, may your dog go with you.
May your dog go with you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Big cheers.
On you.
Empty.
And cut.
Empty.
Have you enjoyed yourselves, guys?
Yes, very good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hopefully it wasn't too dry.
No, not at all. How could it be dry? My goodness me, talking about tigers with diarrhea and a guy, a Vietnamese guy pretending to be from Bristol doing endoscopic cat castrates. I mean, jeez,
Okay.
I can't believe it. Oh.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff.